Hey, what's up? This is Alex, and you're listening to the Jay Franze Show.
Welcome to the Jay Franze Show, a behind-the-curtain look at the entertainment industry with insights you can't pay for and stories you've never heard. Now, here's your host, Jay Franze.
And we are coming at you live. I am Jay Franze, and this is your backstage pass to the music industry. Joining me tonight, the Fiona to my Shrek, my beautiful co-host, Miss Tiffany Mason.
Happy hump day, Jay.
It is. If you are new to the show, I'm sorry. I mean, this is your source for the latest news, reviews, and interviews. So if you would like to join in, comment, or fire off any questions, please head over to jayfranze.com. And as we say, if you feel froggy, you can join our show and ask your question or comment, or just laugh at us over at jayfranze.com/live. All right, Miss Tiffany, my friend.
Yes. I mean, I think you're stretching it by calling me your friend, but...
That's true. True statement. Let's start right out of the gate. All right, back in the 80s, because, you know, I was alive during the 80s.
And the 70s.
Go ahead. You got one more decade to go. Nice. All right. So I was alive in the 60s, but I went to high school in the 80s. And when I was in high school, I wanted to be part of the music business so bad that I would join bands without having any talent. So I would join bands and then try to learn instruments or learn how to sing or anything else that came my way. Not very good at any of those things. However, I did notice that I liked writing songs. So I would write songs, you know, in the hopes to pick up chicks and all that type of fun stuff. It didn't work, but that was the hope. You know, you try to write a song for a girl and win her over. But I wrote a bunch of sappy love songs. So Journey was my favorite band growing up, and I used to write songs like, you know, Open Arms or Faithfully, those type of songs, with probably a little bit more of an Air Supply feel to them than Journey, but, you know, you get the drift. But I wrote this one song called Don't Give Up the Fight. If you dig hard enough on Spotify, I'm sure you can find it. It was on an album that got published by a publishing company in New York. It was a publishing company called DSM Producers.
Okay.
Still have a contract with them, even though I don't really put out material anymore. However, I did put out...
How does that work? How do you still have a contract with them?
In case I ever do anything, then they take half my life. No, they're very, very nice people. Still talk to them as well. I mean, they are very nice all around.
How long has this contract been in place? Is that normal?
Since the 80s. Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time.
So you just signed your whole life away?
Pretty much. You know, I'm 80s. I was young and dumb. You know, you do what you do. You want it bad enough, you make it happen. And that's a whole nother story. I mean, we could take a quick tangent for a minute. You know, everybody talks about, you know, keep your publishing and you do all this stuff. But when you do that, the one thing a publisher can offer you is connections. So if you don't have those connections, your music does nothing but sit in your desk drawer. It doesn't do anything. So for me, having that publishing company was a very big deal because they put songs in TV shows and movies and that type of stuff.
Yep.
But this one particular song I wrote, Don't Give Up the Fight, they placed it in a TV show called Saturday Night Live.
Oh my gosh, I've totally seen that show before.
You've seen that show before? Is George here yet? I haven't checked that yet. George, are you with us, buddy? George is in the house. So there you go. George, did you do your homework tonight?
Good to see you too, George.
Yeah, so this was a long time ago, but they put that song in Saturday Night Live. And they put it in a skit where Jimmy Fallon and another actor played Paul and John from the Beatles. And they were sitting at a piano pretending that they were writing a song. It was a VH1 special, you know, behind the music type of thing where they're sitting at the piano and it's like after years of these people coming back together, they're going to give us what we finally wanted. And then the hook of it all was they're going to open up a fried chicken joint. It had nothing to do with anything musically, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
But the entire time they were sitting at the piano, it was my song that they were playing.
How cool is that?
I thought that was pretty cool, and it was probably to this day was probably the most money I ever received from a song that was cut or a song that was placed. Two different things. A song that's placed is when it ends up in a TV show or movie like this one did, and a song that's cut is when an artist records your song and releases it, on their album.
Well, that's pretty impressive if you wanted to be part of the music industry. I mean, you've done so many aspects of the music industry. What do you think you've liked the most? I mean, you said you've done security for them. You've done producing. You were Bob's right-hand guy for engineering. Well, you probably do some on your own as well. You had your own place. Like, you've done it all. You were a teacher. Now I'm finding out for the first time. I mean, I thought we were closer friends than that, but...
No, you established right at the beginning that I was pushing it by calling you a friend.
Yes, it's true. I want to take it back. I want to say we're friends.
We'll see.
But
see how the night goes.
Okay, fair enough. I'm on probation. So what do you think you've enjoyed the most?
I would say engineering is my favorite thing to do. I like, working the console, manipulating the audio to get it to sound the way that I hear things in my head. But I enjoyed writing songs. I think one of the best things is when you write your own song and then you get to go in the studio with Nashville musicians and record it. And then you get to hear it all come to life. And then you also get to produce it and engineer. So you're kind of doing all of it at one time.
Yeah. That's cool.
But we mentioned homework we mentioned Saturday Night Live and the 50th anniversary. But did you have a chance to watch it?
Yes, I did.
Well, I watched it in hopes that maybe, you might see my song or hear something about it. No, you didn't hear anything about my song. They didn't even bring it up one time. Not even in the commercial.
Weird.
Right?
Rude.
It's a little rude.
We brought it up on our podcast.
Can we call somebody?
I don't know. The powers that be. Cool. It was crazy funny. George said it was crazy funny. And it was really, I'm like chomping at the bit to talk about.
All right, well, let's do it. Tell me something.
Okay, well, first of all, tell me something good. So first of all, I want to say how I feel about Saturday Night Live. Okay?
Tell me.
Okay, so after watching all the clips and all the everything, and I was watching Melissa McCarthy do one of the sets, and I was like, that's it. If I could meet anybody in person from Hollywood, that's who it'd be. I would meet Melissa McCarthy because she's freaking hilarious. And I bet she's funny just about anything. But what I was thinking about, usually I can tell if I really like a person because I will envision Christmas and we both have a drink and we're like shooting the shit while the family's doing whatever. Yeah. And I had the vision. And so I was like, yeah, that's who I would. But before her, I had Marcus Lemonis. I don't know if you know who that is.
We can't leave her just yet.
I know. Okay. Fine.
I've never been the biggest Melissa McCarthy fan. I like her. I like some of the stuff she's done. Matter of fact, when I see her outside of the world of movie, when she's in interviews and stuff, she's a little bit more relatable, more fun to watch. You think she's a better person. Yeah. But I met her cousin in your neck of the woods.
Oh.
Do you know who her cousin was?
Orlando? No.
It was Jenny McCarthy.
Oh, that would make sense. Okay.
Yes. She's beautiful.
And what was the interaction?
She's very...
Oh, I'm sure.
Very beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she came to one of the events to sign autographs for being in Playboy at the time.
Oh, okay.
So it was a very good night. There's a picture of me somewhere with Jenny McCarthy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, she's awesome. I think one of the biggest reasons, well, there's many reasons, but have you ever seen the meme where, I can't think of the actor's name, but there's a guy from Identity Theft when they're both in the car and he keeps turning the channel. And there's two kinds of people in the world. And it's the one person driving quietly and the other person, and it's her singing to every single song. And he keeps turning the channel and she knows every song.
Every song on every channel.
That's me. I'm that friend. So I had that revelation that if I get a chance, that's who I'm going to meet. I was impressed with how many people they actually could fit into all the skits. Like, think over 50 years, that's a lot of people, right? And they always have a lot of people in every skit to begin with. So then I just thought it was even more interesting how they worked so many people into the skits. I was just really blown away by that.
Yeah, it was pretty
Did you happen to
impressive.
notice that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even from the very beginning, the opening with Steve Martin, and you couldn't have
Yeah.
picked a better opener than Steve Martin.
Yeah.
He's as funny as any one person can be, talented banjo player and all that stuff, too. I saw him in concert playing the banjo. Matter of fact, I also drove him to the concert.
Oh.
So, yeah, he came into town and stayed at the only 5-star hotel in Nashville. And I picked him up at the
There's
airport.
only one?
Yeah, there's only one. And picked him up at the airport, drove him to the hotel, let him do his thing, then drove him to the concert. And I forget who, there was somebody else famous with him, but he was super, super nice about the whole thing.
I did look up his wife. She is 20 years younger than him, so there's that.
What band is she from?
I played the fifth. I can't tell you.
We failed you, George. Kenny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I love Steve Martin, and I love his white hair.
He looks just like my dad did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when my dad was alive, that's what he looked like.
Interesting.
I used to say that, and Dick Van Dyke kind of looked like the two of them.
Oh. Then your father must have been very handsome.
He was. I don't know what happened.
Hi, Kenny. We see you. Okay. So I like how many people they worked into each skit. And then I thought it was funny that there was so much pretend smoking. What the heck?
Right?
Why were they smoking so much? It just made me laugh. Maybe because in the 80s they could smoke, so they were trying to bring some of that back. Like, I don't...
Make it feel like the earlier part of their 50 years.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny anyway. So I hate all the political stuff, right? Like, I know that they have a platform and they want to use it and blah, blah, blah. But we didn't come there to hear your political stance. So I could have gone without that, but whatever. It was fine too. I can also be the person that sees it, doesn't love it, and keep moving on and still appreciate the show for what the show is. So I also thought it was interesting that they were using some real cue cards. Did you notice in the beginning? That was really cool.
But they did that on purpose because aren't they known for screwing up cue cards? Like at the very beginning of back in the 70s,
Probably.
80s, they were known for screwing up cue cards. I think there was even a joke about it where they had the cue cards upside down.
Yes, they did. Yep. Okay, I didn't realize that was a thing from in the beginning. So interesting there. I loved that everybody was in their tux. You know, the ladies were dressed up and the gentlemen were in their tux. I thought that was kind of a cool, like when they would pan to the audience, you know, and you could see everybody in their tux was pretty cool. I don't know. I like that.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it felt appropriate because it was 50 years. So big celebration. I did not realize, though, scrolling through YouTube, looking at some of the videos, if you guys hear anything that we say and you're like, wait, I didn't see that, and you don't have, what is it on Peacock? You can go onto YouTube. Yeah, you can go onto YouTube and see clips.
You can see the entire 3-hour special. You just have to watch it in 5 to 10 minute chunks.
Yeah, and they make it pretty easy that, like, you watch the one and it'll show you the ones that are up, queued up or whatever.
Yeah,
and you can
playlist.
just go. Yeah, it was really easy to watch. Yes, so if you want to go see them, when we're talking about anything, that's that. So you can see everybody in their tux. Okay, I'm sorry. Then I thought that the commercials could almost give the Super Bowl a run for their money. Did you see how great some of them were? There was I think it was a T-Mobile one, and it was an 80s hairband, and it made me think of you 100%. I was like, I wonder if Jay saw this commercial. It was so cool, because they kind of looked like Kiss. I mean, they were in like the black leather and their teased hair, you know?
Nice.
And yeah. So it wasn't always an SNL commercial, but I'd say 30% of them were an SNL commercial. So it was kind of funny to, you know, pick up, like, you'd start watching it and then you'd be like, oh, this is an SNL commercial. Made me laugh.
We have to stop.
Collaborate and listen.
It's not Hammer time. It's Kenny time. We don't want Kenny to get his feelings hurt. Kenny, we mentioned you earlier. I mentioned you earlier. Mm-hmm. Maybe you need to listen a little bit better, Kenny.
Yeah. Got to be here on time, Kenny.
Go back. Go back and listen.
Yeah. Do the replay. So I think one of the reasons why I stopped watching Saturday Night Live became very obvious to me when I tuned into this 50th anniversary. Because Kenan Thompson drives me crazy. He always looks like he's about ready to blow his cover on each joke. So they start the skit and he's already smirking. He already can't hold it together. And so that does not make me laugh more. That makes me think, like, why are you breaking character? I don't like it. So it ruins every skit for me that he shows up on.
I don't know. It almost, I mean, that happened a lot during this special where people were about to crack.
Yeah.
But to me, I kind of like it.
I think it's funny when everybody else does it, but for some reason, I think because of him, because he's always doing it. Like sometimes they can hold their composure, but you can tell when somebody really cannot hold it in anymore. And then it is funny. But no, I wasn't here for Kenan Thompson. But I think that might be one of the main reasons why I stopped watching Saturday Night Live.
Did you see the skit that he did? What was it, Black Jeopardy?
Yes.
What did you think of Eddie Murphy in that skit?
Oh, is that the one where he had half of his hair teased up and half of it was slicked down?
Well, he was playing, what's his face there, Tracy Lawrence. Was it Tracy Lawrence?
Right.
Tracy?
Yes.
Oh, man, I can't believe it.
Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan, thank you. I was listening to Tracy Lawrence earlier today.
Good cover.
I was listening to the TL Roadhouse, his podcast.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
I'm
old and I don't have a memory. There you go.
I'm old and you fire me when I don't have a memory.
Yes.
Maybe you're fired.
You're younger than me. Remember, you've established that quite a bit.
I know. I also have mom brain, though. I have a lot to remember, and I have to remember everything about the Saturday Night Live show to talk about tonight. So it's a lot. I got a lot packed in there right now. So when we were kids and we used to go, I grew up in a small town, and my grandpa was a bowler. And so my grandparents signed us up for bowling. And so my dad would come to our bowling with us. And they would say, my grandpa and my dad, they'd say, okay, you got to pack all your crap together. Get all your crap together. And then they would say, oh, I screwed up my hair. And then they would say, okay, now take your shot. So I gotta pack all that mom stuff in.
You grew up in a small town. Who sings it?
Sam Hunt?
Jason Aldean.
Okay. I should know that, but
you should know because you keep bringing it up. That's why I wanted to see if you could.
I know Jason Aldean.
If you can remember your own stuff.
I know. I'm bad at it. Okay, so Adam Sandler. Oh no! First thing I wanted to bring up was all the music guests. I know we were going to kind of chit chat about that a little bit. Did you notice that some of them were on like some big stage and some of them were on the Saturday Night Live stage? So it became clear to me they had like this Saturday Night Live 50th year celebration, quote unquote, homecoming concert. And they had the musical guests that night. Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. The first one was, well, not the first one, but the first one I got in queue to talk about is Adam Sandler. And I listened to his 50 years. That was really good.
That's the one where he was just talking about everything that happened.
Yeah, which was pretty funny.
Including the cue cards.
Yes, I think that's when the cue cards came up. And then I watched the skit after, and there were still cue cards. And I was like, oh, they're really doing them for the whole show. Yeah,
but he was talking about the guy being drunk and having the cards upside down.
Yes. And I like the digs that they had at Lauren throughout the whole show.
That's brutal. They do that to that man all the time. Mm-hmm.
Miley Cyrus. What a great performance. And I did not know who this Brittany Howard was. So if you guys go back and watch it, she, first of all, has the shortest dreads that stick straight up. I've never seen anybody tease their dreads, but Brittany Howard does. Okay. And she is a guitar soloist, a lead singer, and a main songwriter for American rock bands Alabama Shakes, Thunder Bitch, and Bermuda Triangle.
Nice.
So she's pretty accomplished, but yeah, they played well off of each other.
Yeah,
I thought
she's a talented woman. She just did a guitar solo with somebody else. I forget who it was, but she did a little collaboration with somebody. It was really good.
Yeah, so I was impressed by that. Cher. girlfriend still looks amazing at 75. But I think they sped up the pace of that song. Did you notice that at all?
I think they probably sped up a lot of them here, but
Yeah. Right?
there's a trend right now, like on TikTok, of kids speeding up songs and listening to them at that speed so they can get through more songs. It drives me insane.
Yeah. I can't listen to podcasts like any faster than 1.25 because otherwise I can't really I'm listening to usually comprehend. I'm usually listening to be motivated, or inspired, which requires me to think about like my business and how I'm running it, or, what I want to do for my next episode or whatever. I'm thinking alongside listening to the podcast, so I can't speed it up. And I'm not speeding up you and I. I mean, we sound fantastic. So when I hit listen to our
soak
episodes,
it all in.
Right, slow it down, 0.75.
I listen to books on tape at double speed sometimes, but I will not listen to a podcast faster than 1x.
No, it stresses me out. It really stresses me out.
Well, what stresses me out is when I see a book and it says 13 hours and something minutes. And I'm like, oh.
No, that's exciting for me. I'm like, sweet. I do not have to worry about a new episode. I don't have to worry about a new book, nothing. For 13 hours, how long can I stretch this out? But you drive a lot.
I do drive a lot.
I would think you would want it even more. Why are you speeding these things up, Jay?
I don't know. Something about a book and seeing 13 hours just freaks me out. But podcasts, I listen to them at 1x the whole time.
This makes me think of like when people are like, the memes, do you want to watch a movie? And they're like, I don't have time for that. And they're like, you want to binge this season of this whatever? And it's like 7 or 8 hours. Right. So, okay, you're that person. Well, got it.
I do. I probably listen to 13 different episodes, but I don't want to listen to the one book for 13 hours.
Right. Maybe you just don't like the idea of the topic lasting for so long. Okay, did you see Backstreet Boys?
Those are people from your neck of the woods.
Yes. This was really weird, though. Or it was really cute, quite honestly. So the band is up on stage, and they're all singing. And if you think about like a lot of the actors and actresses, I mean, of course they range in ages, but a lot of them are my age or just a little bit older or just a little bit younger. And so it was really sweet to see the stars be starstruck. So they were like singing along and they're like holding their hearts as they're singing along to the music and they all know the words. And I don't know. It just made them seem real to me, I guess. They became humans in my world. And they just had an adoration or an admiration for this group that was on stage. The one weird thing was, and I don't know who the guy was like, back in my day when they were famous, when they were popular. But there was one guy and he had a leopard cowboy hat on and his nails were painted like a bright pink. And I was like,
Let me ask you a question about the special.
Yeah.
Do you watch the weekend updates at all?
No, that was my least favorite segment.
Really? See, when Norm Macdonald, when he was on, he was just absolutely amazing.
He was good.
I mean, he was an amazing comedian in general. He had the best timing. Mm-hmm. But I've seen several people do it since then, and I think the guy that's doing it now is doing pretty good. He's got some pretty good comedic timing, and he cracks up a lot. He's constantly cracking, but I don't know what his name is. I know who he is. I just don't know his name.
Okay. I'll have to check out a couple of episodes. Maybe I'll record them. I can't stay up too late. This kind of beauty requires sleep, so yeah. Paul McCartney was on there, and he did an Abbey Road medley, so that was really cool. And I just had this thought when and I've always thought this about the Beatles. Their pointy little nose and their little round mouths, for some reason, that looks English to me, or British. Like, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it necessarily, but even now, as he's aged and changed and grown his hair out and whatever, I still feel like when I look at him, I'm like, oh yeah, you're British. No doubt about it. Like, I can't put my finger on what that means, but That's what I was thinking as I was looking at them. And then he had these 2 guitarists with him. And the one guy, I looked it up because I was like, who is this guy? So Brian Ray, he was so gaunt, like his cheeks were sucked in. So he needed some eye makeup because his eyes, his whole face was like basically one shade. And he was like playing off to the side, almost kind of creepy. Then they all came in together and like started singing with Paul McCartney. But the makeup artist did him wrong for that performance.
No, it's not the same. He should have been there for the piano skit, talking about the fried chicken. That would have been much better.
What skit was that?
I don't know. Colin Jost or Joust or Jost. Colin. He's the guy that's doing the Weekend Update now.
I wonder if he was he in any of the skits?
Oh yeah. I'm sure he's all over the place, but he does Weekend Update, and they've always got him saying the most embarrassing things. Like, it's one of those things where he sees it come up and he's like, oh, okay.
That makes me think of Impractical Jokers. I don't know if you watch that. Oh yeah. Colin Jost, yeah. When they tell them what they have to say or what they have to do, or they read it, you know, I love when they have the different surveys and they flip the page and they're like, okay, let me ask you if you'd sign this survey. And it's like, he's asking a woman and it's women against other women. And they're like, oh God. Right. And it's amazing how much they can sell people on it.
Yep.
You know, I guess that's the mark of a good comedian.
All right. George has given us his favorites.
Yes, I want to hear.
He likes the Scared Straight skit.
Yes.
That's the one with Eddie Murphy and Will Ferrell and not Tracy Lawrence.
Morgan. Yeah.
Two entirely different people.
Yeah.
But yes, and Will Ferrell is wearing the shorts.
Yes.
His shirt cut down to his belly button.
Yeah, it made me think of Reno 911.
Yes.
Have you ever watched that?
Yes. That was a funny show, too.
They were trying to tell those kids to stay out of trouble. Will Ferrell's character made me think of, have you ever seen Daddy's Home?
I'm not sure.
Okay, it's a Will Ferrell movie with Mark Wahlberg, and he's like, Will Ferrell's like this goody two-shoes dad, and Mark Wahlberg's like this hardcore, hot, you know, every woman's dream kind of guy or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
He talks about being, you know, hard on the streets, and when he was Gator the pimp and all these things. So that was a very good one for me, George. Scared Straight. I liked that episode, or that skit.
Kenny thinks I'm drinking tonight.
Nipping and sipping after some hours beverage tonight? No, but that's a good idea. Crack open some bourbon. Oh, George has got another one too. He liked the Close Encounters skit. Okay, can we get into it? We're gonna everybody put their turn signal on. Close Encounters here, because that was the best one. Okay. Everybody put their left turn signal on. Here we go. Okay. Because this one was definitely on the left. So this was Kate McKinnon, Woody Harrelson, Pedro Pascal, I think is how you say it, and Meryl Streep. Okay, they start the episode out, and she is like spread wide open, right? And I thought, what is the deal? What is going on? And I love her just as much as, you know, Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy. She's super funny. I wrote down some of her lines because they were so awesome. Okay, she says, my vagity and tragedy. I mean, who mows the lawn in the winter? Am I right? Right.
To give a little background on that, she's talking for about, a few minutes about not grooming herself.
Well, and she's talking about the aliens abducted her, and they're like, why do you think that they took you? And she was like, my vagity and my tragedy, who mows the lawn in the winter? And then she said, because of the state of my down there hair. And then she was talking about when she got abducted. I don't know, when she was in her house, she had a shirt on, but not her pants. And she says, I'm Donald Duck in it. No shirt, no pants.
Did you see when she was showing what the aliens did to her? When each, three different aliens came up to her?
Yes.
And she's in there tapping on the one guy. And she's crawling between the legs of the other one. He wore me like a hat.
Yeah, yeah. That was really funny. She said, I'm Donald Duck in it. And then she said, my token hole and my smoking hole. And then she says, she's still talking about it. And she says, last time I had a Brazilian, his name was Diego and he got strep throat. It was like every line she had was so good. Oh my gosh. And then Meryl Streep comes in.
And she almost cracked a couple times.
I think when the regulars are on, I don't know. It's not that. It's Keenan. I just don't like Keenan.
Kenny thinks you're the one that's been drinking tonight.
People accuse me of it all the time, Kenny. Meryl Streep said a good mother can also be a bad girl.
Right.
Because she was talking about it.
And then the other lady just kind of sinks in her seat and kind of hangs her head like she's embarrassed. My mother's talking like this.
Yes. Oh, sure. Kate is doing that. I like the lady that was interrogating them too. She's a little bit heavier set and she's got the long brown hair. She is great in a lot of
talking about.
Yes.
Let's not go there.
She used to be in a skit with like a friend that was really promiscuous. And so her friend would always want to like go out and get drunk and like do things. And she'd always be like, I don't think we should do that. Like she was always the good girl and like telling her friend, no, it's not a good idea. They always seem to put her in a good spot on the sketches.
Well, the two guys in this Close Encounter skit, they're just like, oh, it was great. We were coddled up and swooped into the sky with two beautiful women and this and that. And the other two are like, we got, trashed and abused. And they dropped us back to Earth from, 250 feet.
Yeah.
Came through somebody's ceiling and we landed on Fred or whatever the guy's name was.
Yeah.
And then they're laughing. They said, that was a crazy funeral. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
I didn't catch that. That's awesome. Yeah, that one was probably my absolute favorite, was the Close Encounters. So good call, George. We must have the same kind of humor.
Take us into the news. Now that
we'll get back into the right lane. Everybody slow down. Okay. Well, I was going to let you guys know about a couple of new songs that have come out. Morgan Wallen has I'm the Problem. Chris Jansen has
the Problem.
I feel like he stole it from Taylor, right? Like, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
I thought you were saying you were the problem. Sorry. So
no, Jay, I would never admit that.
That's a true statement.
Okay. Chris Jansen, a new song called Stay Rowdy. Nate Smith and the Hardy team up for hilarious and hard-hitting new anthem, Nobody Likes Your Girlfriend.
Nobody likes my wife. Everybody likes the wife. Nobody likes me. It's all right.
Because you're the right. You're in the right lane. That's why.
Yeah. I got to move to the left. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Do you ever notice that when songs get released, it feels like everybody knows the song that was going to be released? Like, I feel like in everybody's camps, they would be quiet, right? Like, ooh, don't say anything. Well, maybe maybe you can fill us in. I feel like there is some kind of secrecy on what you're getting to release. Is there not?
It used to be in the 50s. That was a big thing when you drive to the radio station with wax in your hand and hand it to the DJ before anybody. The DJs wanted to be that first person to break music. These days, no. You get digital music. Everybody gets it at one time, and you're out begging people to play it for you.
There was a song that came out about selling the truck for the best offer. And then there was another one that was like something about rolling his truck off the cliff because he didn't want to be in the truck anymore. They basically had the same storyline. Okay, now this one, this week, there is Nobody Likes Your Girlfriend that is coming out. And then Dierks Bentley is releasing a rugged, heartbreaking anthem called She Hates Me. And it just kind of feels like this hate towards the girls. I don't know. It feels similar again. So that's why when I said when the songs come out, like, isn't there any gauge on variety?
I think what's going on, too, is in Nashville, a lot of people talk about what songs are big right now and what artists are big. And then they try to write songs for that artist in that vein. So they keep chasing the tail of something. We're reality, when an artist cuts a song and it's a big song, they want to move on to the next thing. And all the writers in town are trying to, grab a piece of that current thing.
Yeah.
But I remember a story, the producer Matt McClure I used to work for, and I mean, great producer, great engineer, and we were working on a Lee Brice record. Lee Brice cut a song called I Drive Your Truck. And I mean, a great, great song.
I love that song.
Oh, yeah. Great song, sad as can be. I mean, real tearjerker. But I remember being in the studio holding the charts and handed the charts out, which is the sheet music essentially for Nashville. They're number charts.
Okay.
So I handed it out to each musician, and they see the title on the top of the chart that says "I Drive Your Truck," and one guy goes, "Up, another truck song," and the session lead, which was Jeff King, amazing guitar player in Nashville, he looked at them and said, "You know what? It is another truck song, but trust me, this one's different." Mm-hmm. And then when they played it, they were all like, "Oh my God, this is awesome."
Yeah. It has the feeling of Drink a Beer by Luke Bryan.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Or Wish You Were Here.
You know what? I like Luke Bryan. I know he gets a bad rap sometimes, but I like him.
I'm a fan. I've listened to a lot of his music.
My daughter and I, his big hit, Play It Again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that in our playlist. So when we do road trips, that's a song of ours.
I know that this is super silly, but I always look at my husband. I'm like, I wish this is how we met.
My wife is always trying to come up with better stories of how we met, how we get engaged. Because trust me, it's all brutal. It's just a brutal. I don't know how we ended up together. It's more like the story. It was a rough start.
It wasn't like that song?
No.
No.
No, not at all.
Well, those are new songs, new albums that are out. And I pulled this from like a range of artists or a range of genres. So there's a guy, Sam Fender. If Kenny, George, anybody else listening, if you guys know these people, say something. But Sam Fender, and he released People Watching, and I went and listened to it. It was pretty good. I would listen to it again. Tucker Wetmore announced that he is debuting a new album, What Not To, on the stage of the Ryman Auditorium at the CRS is when he did that. Russell Dickerson, he has a new album called Happen to Me. I think it's funny when they use these little, like, that one previous was What Not To, and this one is Happen to Me. And there was another one recently that came out, and it was same thing where, like, I do or something. Anyways, when it came out, and you think, like, okay, what could that possibly mean? And I had my own version, and then I heard the song, and I was like, huh, okay, not where I thought we were going with that. So I'd be interested to hear these two. I should have looked those two up, but I looked up the one I didn't know. Jessica Simpson, after 15 years.
Dude, I was talking about her the other day. My wife and I were talking about her. That girl used to be spot on beautiful. Yeah,
she makes me think of Jenny McCarthy, equal in beauty.
Yeah, very similar looks. She's not the same anymore. Have you seen her recently?
No.
I mean, still beautiful, but doesn't look anything like she used to.
Mm-hmm. Well, her new album is called Use My Heart Against Me.
And her sister, speaking of Saturday Night Live, I think Saturday Night Live is the show that ruined her sister's career.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You ever pay any attention to her sister, Ashley Simpson?
I guess not.
She had a rock album out where Jessica was releasing pop records. She released a rock album. And it was good. It wasn't great, but it was really good, and it was produced very, very well. The people who did her record did an amazing job. But she went on Saturday Night Live, and she played two songs. So she played one at the beginning, went just fine. I think
I watched it.
It was great, went fine, everything was good. Mm-hmm. You know, she lip-synced, but it was very good. But then they played the second song, and the band started playing the music to the second song, but the lip-sync portion was playing the lip-sync from the first song. And then she kind of did this very odd-looking hoedown style dance
feel like I
just to
watched
kind of laugh
one.
it off. And
Yeah.
it just didn't look good. The whole thing was
Tanked.
sad, and she kind of worked her way off stage, and you didn't really hear much of anything from her after that.
That's too bad. I don't know about that, but I feel like I watched that one actually. Okay, so Tate McRae also came out with a new album, So Close to What. I went and listened to that one. That one's good. And, well, to my standards. And Sunny wore Armageddon in a Summer Dress. So all those were pretty good. I liked them. I would go listen to them again. I would not be shocked if they turn up on my daughter's playlist. They were pretty good.
Well, let's go ahead and move on since we're blowing through time tonight.
Oh, wow, we really are.
I had a couple more things I wanted to talk about, but I do want to just do a little bit of our question of the night.
Absolutely.
So, question of the night, I don't know if we even mentioned it today, but the question of the night is the best guitar players. So, just who would you think of as being the best guitar players? I know that I grew up listening to Journey, so I used to think Neil Schon, and I still think, is one of the best guitar players in the world. He is definitely one of the most underrated guitar players. People hear Journey songs and they think just sing-songy ballad type stuff, but he is an amazing, amazing guitar player. And if you go into even like follow him on Instagram, you can see him practicing at his house and stuff. He just does some amazing stuff. So that's one person I would say. But another one is Nuno Betancourt from the band Extreme. Just absolutely amazing.
Now, what would, in your opinion, what would qualify them? Right, like we can look up these lists and we can see who's on them, but you're picking people that aren't on the list. And so what do you hear? Or is it the speed at which they can play? Is it the different notes?
Things that I look for in a guitar player, I look for a guitar player who knows what to play and when to play it. So it's not necessarily about fitting as many notes into something as you can, but playing the right notes for the right situation. I am super impressed when somebody can play extremely fast and fit all of the notes in and play it with technique behind it. So I do think that's a really good thing. But I also think it's good when somebody can sit back and play just the right notes at the right time. So it's knowing what to play and when to play it, in my opinion.
Is that fair to say also knowing when to quote unquote shine and also knowing when to pull back?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mentioned Journey. When watching him play, he can play as fast as you want him to play. He can play as many notes as you want him to play. You know, he can do all of that stuff. But when you listen to some of those songs like Open Arms or Faithfully and the big ballads, he's not playing like a rocket. He's just playing very tastefully. So it's just knowing what to do and when. I mean, you even got Eddie Van Halen, which is one of the, arguably the best guitar player in the world, but at least one of the best. And that man can play fast, can play slow. He can play different techniques, you know, pretty much, if not invented, at least brought to the forefront the tapping on a guitar. So I think all of those things add to stuff, you know, how a person plays. The magic is in their fingers. It's not in their equipment. Taking, yeah. And there's the left for the night. If ever there's
That's
going
what
to
she
be,
said.
if ever there's going to be a soundbite, that's going to be the one, right? Yes. So the magic is in their fingers, but yes, I
Not
mean,
their instrument.
it's not their tool. Anyway, so yes, I think that's all part of that is knowing what to play, when to play it, and how they choose to play it, the style they choose to do. I mean, even like Eddie Van Halen was very experimental with the style of play, and even doing stupid things like pulling in a hand drill into and playing it on the guitar. I'm gonna stop now. Who do you like when it comes to guitar players? Who do you think are some of the best?
Well, you know that I'm so good at like pulling out specific names
So good
and
at pulling
specific
out.
bands, right? But
Yeah, I'm going to stop now. Sorry, George. When it gets this late in the night, this is what happens.
yeah, all bets are off. I was sharing with you earlier today. I was in the gas station. I heard the song Shine by Collective Soul. And I was like, God, this is such a good song. And now, and I don't know how long Apple's been doing this, but if you ask Siri to play a song for you, it'll keep pulling songs that are related to that first song that you had. Then sitting here having this conversation with you about, guitars and everything, I think it's a lot of bands from the 90s. And we had that conversation too, where you were saying, a lot of those bands were really known for having great guitarists. And that's what I think of. It's almost just that time in my life that I think of. It's not really necessarily me remembering. I think now that I'm getting older, I look at music and I'm like, what do I love so much about this? And for those songs, it is the guitar. So today was a beautiful day here in Florida. I had the windows down and I had that music up real loud.
Good day. I didn't have to use my AK. I don't remember what song that is, but that's the second time I've done that tonight.
Today was a good day.
I don't know. Jeff says Nuno Betancourt.
Oh, two votes.
There's a follow-up. Trevor says Eddie, so there you go. Pam says Eddie.
Oh.
Yeah, so I got a few people agreeing with me. Randy says Alan Holdsworth. I don't know who that is.
Well, again, it's a group from Saturday Night Live. They had a skit where Post Malone actually was the front singer. Uh-huh.
I wanted to talk about that.
Oh. Yeah. For the Smells Like Teen Spirit song. And it was the OG band members and then Post Malone. And they have Kurt Cobain on here as one of the best guitarists. And that was such great music and such a great... No?
No.
Oh, I liked me some Nirvana.
Nirvana's not bad, but he's not. No way in hell is he one of the best guitar players ever. Oh, God, no. Oh. Big no. Big no. Hard no. I need a buzzer. Next week there's going to be a buzzer on here.
I wouldn't say him either, but maybe his bandmates. Maybe that's what they meant. I mean, they have him, but I would have thought it was a bandmate too. And Post sounded good, but he was a little strained.
He cracked
on some of the
quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I was thinking to myself when he was cracking, I was thinking, well, if ever there's a song to crack on, because that's not a song that's meant to be pretty.
Right. So. Agreed. I kind of had the same feeling.
Alan Holdsworth is a British jazz and rock guitar player and violinist and composer. So there you go.
The group that we went to go see perform live, one of them plays a violectra, and that made me think violin. And is there a correlation between violin playing and guitar playing?
Yeah, there is. I mean, they're obviously both stringed instruments. One's 4 versus 6 strings. So, I mean, there's differences between the two of them, but they're very similar. I would say, in my opinion, violin would seem harder to me than guitar. But there's some amazing violinists out there right now playing rock music. You can go find people on Instagram or TikTok and stuff that are just killing it. There's this one girl I follow. I don't remember her name, or I'd bring it up, but she's just absolutely amazing. I'm sure if you follow anybody that does that, I'm sure you're following her.
I do not, but I would be interested in it. And I feel like this next round of music that's coming out, there's some of the classic feels, but there's a lot of folk feel to a lot of the music coming out now, which also is more stripped away, but also would allow for a violin.
George says Eric Clapton.
Yes, he's on the list.
Yeah, of course, he's the man.
Mm-hmm. I always love when they would have him on MTV on the Unplugged.
Yeah. You know what I miss? What was that Crossroads where they had two bands come together and play each other's songs?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever saw Pat Benatar and Martina McBride episode where they got on and sang each other. Those are two powerhouse singers. I mean, absolutely amazing singers. And both, when they sang the other person's song, were very weak. Like neither one of them were able to nail the other person's songs.
I really don't like when a performer can't project. Like it's almost like they have all this intensity, but it doesn't come out. Like people who can do powerhouse ballad singing, that's what I really like because there's that build up, you know. Then there's the release. And I like that.
We're going to have to rename the show to After Hours.
And I find it so frustrating when somebody goes to sing a song and they can't do that. So that's what that sounds like to me, is that they both flopped or flip-flopped, whatever, and went to go perform the other person's song, but then didn't punch it, didn't.
Right. They just fell short. Dennis says Eddie. Ann says Kenny Wayne Shepherd. Kenny Wayne Shepherd. Ooh, George, that's a good one. Mark Knopfler.
Who is he with?
Mark Knopfler. Mark Knopfler. He's from the band Dire Straits, but he's also known as a solo artist, Mark Knopfler.
Oh.
He was produced by Chuck Ainley, produced and engineered by Chuck Ainley in Nashville at Soundstage. But in the back of that, Chuck Ainley had his own room with an SSL console in it. And I used to teach at the college, and the windows of the classroom look down on his studio. So you can see all the artists and the people walking in and out of his building all day long. But that album, Mark Knopfler and stuff, was very, very cool. And if I remember correctly, I believe that's where Presley Tennant talked about recording her record, was in that room.
Oh.
Oh, we mentioned Jeff King earlier. Oh, dear God, is he one of the best guitar players I've ever seen?
Yeah.
People would think he's absolutely amazing, and nobody has any idea who he is because he's played on every country record under the sun, but he's a studio musician. He does go on the road. He's out on the road right now with Brooks and Dunn. So if you go see Brooks and Dunn, he's the guitar player. But he's primarily a studio player. He only goes on the road with Brooks and Dunn and Reba. So not too shabby of a gig, either one of those. But
yeah.
But he's one of the best guitar players I've ever worked with.
Because of what? Why would you say that? Obviously talent.
The man can play anything. I mean, one thing about him, because he's a studio musician, and what I like about it is he's known for working in Nashville playing country records, and he goes in and he can play the country records like anybody else does. But if you ask him to do something different, there's no hesitation, and he can just do it. So he doesn't even have to think about it. If you say, I want this to have a more rockin' feel, or I want it to have a harder edge to it, and he's just there. He just reaches over, presses a few buttons, might pick up a different guitar, and next thing you know, he's off to the races, and it sounds just like what you had envisioned in your head. So he's very good at interpreting what people want. But what I like most about him is not his guitar player. I like his sense of humor. You know, I'm a wise ass. If you haven't noticed that, I can be a wise ass from time to time.
Huh. You got to come out of your shell around me.
Come out of the shell. Yeah. But in the studio, especially when things are rough, when things are going bad, like a piece of equipment's broken or something's going on, Jeff is there to keep everybody entertained while we fix the piece of equipment or do what's necessary. He's just keeping everybody light. So once the once the digital tape is rolling, digital tape is the thing too. Once Pro Tools is rolling again, we're able to go in there and just pick up where we left off because everybody's still in a good mood. And he's one of those too that, I worked with three producers in Nashville primarily. So I spent most of my time working for Jim Cristaldi, Bob Bullock, and Matt McClure. And every one of them used Jeff as their guitar player at least one time or another. So he's just the guy to use. Absolutely amazing.
I remember having my mind blown learning about, there's a book of musicians, right? Let's say that you're going to perform somewhere and all of a sudden your drummer comes down with the flu and absolutely cannot perform, right? Instead of canceling your gig, there's a white and yellow pages, or I guess yellow pages, of all these musicians that you guys can call up on a whim. And these people can just I don't understand how you don't know a song, but you can go in and then you play the song. So I saw it play out one time at this venue by us called Blue Jay Listening Lounge. And this lady was performing, and sure enough, she doesn't have like a house band. She doesn't travel, I don't think, with a normal house band, or something was wrong with her saxophonist. Is that a thing? Anyways, and
Sax player.
Her sax player. And so they just called somebody from the Jacksonville, whatever, hire a musician. And he showed up and he was able to just play the music. And when I learned that this is like a common thing, I thought, well, A, that's genius. But B, also like the talent these people have to be able to just show up and then just play. Right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's like that, but obviously a couple levels higher. But
Well, yeah, no, he's cool. Definitely like that. I mean, Nashville's got a union, so the musicians union, and you go there and you can hire musicians all day long. There's just a long, long list, but there's really just a core group of people who play on all the big records. And Jeff is one of those core people who play on all the big records. If you go to allmusic.com and you can type in Jeff King, and you can probably find hundreds and probably thousands at this point of records that he's played on. He's very, very impressive. But I had Alex on the show this week. Alex is a hard rock, heavy metal singer, and she's going to be opening up for Five Finger Death Punch and all these other massive metal bands for a festival this summer. And she was talking about her band and how they're missing a bass player right now. So I just told her, I said, hey, if you need a bass player, let me know. Because she was saying, I hope I can find somebody by the time of the show. And I'm like, well, hell, I could get you 5 or 6 of them in the next 10 minutes if you want.
Yeah.
Because musicians are always looking for somebody to play for. They're always looking for a gig.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah. I just remember thinking that was the coolest thing, that there's that many talented people, and pull out the Rolodex and call them up. Pretty cool.
I don't know if you know much about Tom Green, the comedian Tom Green.
A little bit.
A little bit. He's got a new documentary out, and it's called This is the Tom Green Documentary. Very clever name.
Yeah.
Here we are on the Jay
I wonder what
Franze
it's
Show,
about.
so I can't really argue too much about the name. However, what I found interesting about the documentary is the fact that he wrote it and produced it himself. So he produced his own documentary. And in the opening scenes of him producing his documentary, he's talking to his parents. His mother said, isn't it weird that you're producing your own documentary? Anyways, I thought it was pretty cool. But there's a bunch of cool things within the documentary itself. And it talks about his history and how he came up where he's walking through the streets of Canada and pulling pranks on his parents a lot. And he had his show called The Tom Green Show, where he did just that slapstick style of comedy. Sadly, he got cancer, and this is like the middle of his career at this point, where he was just breaking into the business. He got his show because he had, cable access style shows.
Yeah.
But he finally gets signed by MTV and gets into a deal, and he gets his own show, and it's kind of like a talk show, a real goofy talk show. But he ends up getting testicular cancer, and he ends up having to end the show. A lot of people think that his show got canceled, but he ends up having to end it because of all that stuff. But when he ended that show, there was 2 things that came of it. One was that's where Jackass came from.
I was going to say, it had a Jackass feel to it.
Yeah, because Jackass was the replacement of that show. So without Tom Green in that show, there would have been no Jackass.
Interesting.
So all of those movies, all of that stuff that we know now wouldn't have existed. And then the other thing, because of our industry here, without Tom Green, there would have been no Joe Rogan.
Say more.
Yeah, so just let that settle for a second. Without Tom Green, there would have been no Joe Rogan. Now, obviously, Joe Rogan exists, and he's got a career in television and all of that stuff. But the podcast Joe Rogan that we know wouldn't have existed. Because what happened was they were both stand-up comedians, Tom Green and Joe Rogan, and still are.
Joe Rogan was?
Yeah, he still is. He's one of the most famous comedians in the world. Where have you been?
What?
You, my friend, have a lot of homework to do. A lot. George, is it safe to fire her now? Just saying. If I had the button, I'd be hitting it right now.
I did not know that he started as a comedian.
Oh, dear God. He's one of the most well-to-do popular comedians right now. He owns his own comedy club in Austin. And it's like the world's most famous comedy club there is right now, called The Mothership.
What? Oh my gosh, I'm in love with this. Okay.
Oh, mercy me. So, yes.
That's why it's good to have elders in your life so you can learn from them.
I love you so much. Oh.
Make you feel like a spring chicken, don't I?
George says he didn't know all this about Tom Green. But yeah, so the thing with Tom Green, he had that whole... Yes, fire Tiffany for 10 seconds.
Just for 10 seconds.
I love that, George. That's awesome. That's what we need. Is you're fired for 10 seconds. You get a break in service so that you no longer get pension. Your pension has to start over. Oh, I love that. Anyways, so Tom Green had this show that he was doing in his house or his parents' house. I mean, just a ridiculous talk show, cable access show somewhere. Just ridiculous like stuff. Had a radio show and all this stuff. But Joe Rogan was a guest on his show. So Joe Rogan went to his house, and while Tom Green is kind of interviewing Joe Rogan's looking around at the camera equipment and the cameras and everything going, you pretty much got like a TV show in your house. And he's like, yeah. And Tom Green's as goofy as any one man could be. But he's like, yeah, we got TV show. We go live. We stream to the internet whenever we want. And he's talking like, because he's like the first person who streamed to the internet. And I mean, he didn't just stream to the internet. He streamed out of the gate with a multi-camera shoot and all the stuff he's doing. Did a really good job. And Joe Rogan's sitting there going, you can broadcast at any time. And he's like,
for 3 to 4 hours if you wanted to.
That's what he's saying. He's like, we can talk as long as we want. There's no corporate pressure, none of this stuff. That all stemmed from the Tom Green show. So nothing obviously said about it at that point, but Joe Rogan left, bought all the equipment, started his own show.
Huh.
And if you look at the original Joe Rogan shows, if you can find them, they're him and his buddies sitting on a couch in an extremely dark room, just talking garbage, no rhyme or reason, just talking. So I think that's pretty impressive that without Tom Green, there'd be no Joe Rogan. Not as we know him anyway.
Yeah. You never know where someone's going to get that bright idea.
But I'm not sure if you're familiar that he also married Drew Barrymore and then divorced her.
No.
Oh, mercy me. You have got to do some homework. Yeah, he married Drew Barrymore. They kind of got together on a film and just fell for each other. I mean, she's as goofy as he is. And they got married, and I think they got divorced out of just pressure that they had in each of their lives, not because of each other. They're still friends today.
Oh.
I don't think they talk often. Matter of fact, I think they had a long period of silence, and he went on her show, her talk show, and they just talked for the first time in years, and it was very, very nice.
Awkward.
The last thing I'll say about Tom Green, or the last thing that I need to mention about Tom Green, is that he was in one of my favorite movies, and that was Road Trip.
Oh.
If you remember the movie Road Trip, he was the college student who got to feed the snake the mice. But that movie was a big break for him to be in that movie, and got him a lot of opportunities from there, including his own movie, which he wrote and produced and did everything to do with his movie that nobody wanted any part of, and then or nobody wanted him to produce it, But he went in and his manager said, look, if you want to do it, you got to go convince people that you can do it. So he went in and convinced them all that he could produce this movie, and he did. In the movie, Freddie Got Fingered.
Yeah.
There you go.
I've never seen it.
That's my Tom Green rant for the moment. I just thought it was very interesting because he spawned the career of Joe Rogan, as a podcaster, and then also Jackass.
Yeah. A very influential individual in our entertainment history.
There you go. All right, my friend. What do you got going on this week? Anything exciting?
Well, I'm still trying to find somebody to go with me to go check out your friend's band, Cersei, that is going to be in Daytona tomorrow night. And I am chomping at the bit to go.
You can go by yourself, right?
I know. I'm not. I don't adult well alone.
Go there, introduce yourself to them, and they will sit there with you all night long in between sets and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try a solo. I don't know. It would really be a huge step out of my comfort zone.
Yes,
I really don't like being
You really can't
alone.
afford to miss this band.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there.
So hopefully that's where I'll be. Hopefully I can just put my big girl panties on and just go alone and just enjoy it, and it's going to be amazing.
It's so sad.
So that's what I really want to do. On Saturday, I have no child, no husband. I want to go to the beach because we are getting ready for beach season here in Florida, and I'm super excited about it. So used to live in Minnesota, lived in upstate New York for a short amount of time, born and raised in Iowa. I know about these long winters. I have sustained many, many long winters. Now, Florida, nobody feels bad for me, but this winter, the winter lasts too long in Florida. So by February, we are all like, can we go to the beach yet? Can we get back to the pools? And so I'm very excited because this week we're supposed to be in the upper 70s every single day, which means I can go to the beach. But you're not going to feel bad for me again.
I don't feel bad for you now.
No. Yeah. It will be a little bit cooler, though, because it's always a little bit cooler at the beach because of the breeze off of the water. But I'm looking forward to that very, very much. Do you guys have a season that you're looking forward to yet? Like, when does winter break for you in Kentucky?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much over now. This is, February, for whatever reason, is kind of like the start of a spring here. It's when I usually get my allergies and stuff. We were in the 60s for the past couple of days, so it wasn't bad. I think we'll get probably one more cold snap and then be into the spring. But my favorite season is fall. You mentioned the beach. I don't mind going to a beach. I don't mind going like to the boardwalk where the activities are. But I am so against, and I'm just getting the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. Going to the beach, going into the water, coming out and getting sand all over me. I feel like human shake and bake. Like I'm just laying there getting breadcrumbed up with all the sand and then baking in the sun. Nothing about that sounds pleasant to me.
I love everything about the beach except for it'll be like a million
Except
degrees.
for the sand and the water, and the people.
No. I love all that. Nope. I don't like that you load up your car and you're all sweaty, right? You get to the beach, you unload all your crap, you lug it out to wherever you're going to set up camp for the next couple hours, and then you go get in the water and you play and you have all kinds of fun. And then when you get back to your car, you're sweating again.
Yeah.
Like, that is the part I don't like.
See, you just described what it's like to go to the beach with my family. I don't want any part of that. When I go to the beach, I go with myself or a friend, and we go to the beach where we're both adults. We walk down a boardwalk. We, look out over the water while sitting at a restaurant somewhere. That to me is a trip to the beach. That's fun. That's relaxing. That's a great time. What you're describing is a trip to the water with my family. That is not fun. They love it.
Oh, I love it. I can't get enough of it. And honestly, okay, Oh, speaking of Saturday Night Live, they used to have this segment called Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. I have never forgotten that. They were the stupidest deep thoughts. And so I actually have a segment on my blog called Deep Thoughts by Tiffany Mason. And one of them was...
Scares me.
Yeah, it should. I don't have very many entries. I have a lot of ideas. I have to formulate them still. But one of them was, why can't I go to the beach for just like 2 hours? And I think it's because when you grow up in the Midwest and you have such a short amount of summer, you have to go and like soak it all up in like one day, right? Whereas I live in Florida. Every day is summer except for like 3 months out of the year. So I still have not acclimated after 8 years of being down here. The fact that I could go for an hour and leave, and then tomorrow I could come for an hour and leave. Like, I can come and go as much as I want. I was going to say in the water, but that sounds gross.
Wow, you are on the lefts tonight, my friend. I love it.
Yes.
It's not me tonight.
No,
it's not
no.
me, George.
Normally, I have a better filter, but I think my filter might be downstairs. I don't think I grabbed it.
It's all right.
I might have forgotten it. So, yes.
George might take his comment back now. He just said that this is a classic show tonight. I don't know if he's going to think so anymore, Tiffany.
Yeah. I'm dropping the ball, but...
Just don't drop them in the water.
They get blue. They won't get blue from that. They just get small.
All right. What else you got going on this weekend?
I have Hannah's cheer banquet. And on Thursday, which will be, I should say it next week, but on Thursday will be my next Memories with a Beat episode. We went and watched some live music, and it is our recap of the visit to see Robbie and Felix.
There you go.
Yeah. What are you doing this week, friend?
See, I was going to ask you how the show was, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait for your episode to drop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This week I had an opportunity to talk with Alex. Alex, to me, again, getting to talk to somebody who's a metal singer and stuff is always a treat. And I spend a lot of time in the country world, that when I do get a chance to talk to somebody in the rock or metal world, it's always fun for me. But she was really good. I mean, she's super, super talented, great vocalist. I mean, I can't wait to see her. That festival, I don't remember the name of the festival. I'll look it up real quick. But the festival's coming to Ohio, and so that's the closest spot that I know of that she'll be at. But for me, Five Finger Death Punch is one of my favorite bands. So to go see her, and she's good friends with the guys from Five Finger Death Punch. Falling in Reverse is headlining one night, Slipknot's headlining another night, and Five Finger Death Punch is headlining the finale. It's going to be awesome. It's a great show, and like I said, look at all these bands that are on here. I mean, In This Moment's on here. It's just going to be a super, super good show. I Prevail. I don't know. I don't see it, but it wouldn't surprise me if Hailstorm is on here. Marilyn Manson's on here.
Still performing?
What's odd to me is that Marilyn Manson's playing on the night Slipknot's playing, not on the night Five Finger Death Punch is playing. And Marilyn Manson opened up all season long for Five Finger Death Punch last year. So,
oh, yeah.
It's kind of odd that they're on two different nights.
Well, maybe, like in networking, you're trying to use other people's sphere of influence or whatever, right? Or fan base. And so he's already used their fan base. So now he's going to use Slipknot fan base, maybe.
Yeah. Great group of bands playing. I mean, I cannot wait to see it. This show is July 18th in Mansfield, Ohio. George says he's a big fan of Alex as well. Mm-hmm. And it'll be released on Monday.
Don't you hate when you have a really good interview and you're like, I just want to release it now?
Yeah.
Like you're so excited about it. You're just like,
And then there's a few I'm like, oh, do I have to release this at all?
I know.
So it goes both ways. Or what kills me is there's ones that I think were okay.
Yeah.
Those are the ones people like. And the ones that I think were great, people are like, it was all right. You just never know. Never know. All right, folks. Well, we have done it. We have made it to the top of the hour. The second one. The second hour of this hour-long show, which does mean we have reached the end of the show, or at least the start of the third hour. If you have enjoyed the show, please tell a friend. Miss Tiffany, if you did not,
Tell two.
tell two. You can reach out to both of us over at jfranze.com. We will be happy to keep the conversation going and talk to you there or any of our socials. Miss Tiffany, I cannot thank you enough for being here. It is a blast, as always. George, Kenny, and everybody else that joined, thank you, and have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to The Jay Franze Show. Make sure you visit us at jfranze.com. Follow, connect, and say hello. This episode has been brought to you by VR Knives, your source for 100% custom knives made by a true rock star. So, if you're in the market for a new piece of art, reach out to VR Knives. 407-421-5528. 407-421-5528.